Welcome back. I'm talking to M. David Chacon. He's a candidate for District Court, Division 3
Yes,
District
sir.
Court. And before we went for break, we were talking, you covered a few things there as far as your background and stuff, and you're very knowledgeable. Easy to talk to. So the thing that I wanted to ask you was, since there's not many places, individuals who are on the ballot as far as judges and they're running for judge, do you think there should be a forum for the electorate to get to know the individual running for judge? Because it's very difficult to know. Because if it's a show like this, you can see, okay, well, I know who he is now, right?
Right.
But then there's other shows, there's not many places you guys can go, as
Yeah,
far as the candidates I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I was very excited to accept the invitation to come here today because while we're invited to the normal candidate events, I think unless the electorate is very proactive in terms of seeking out information themselves, they're not going to get a lot of information. You'll get a lot of information on some of what they call the upper ballot races, but not necessarily in the judicial races. The joy, though, is the modern advent of modern technology. Most people have access to the internet, and if not, it's available at the public library. We've been able to put websites, create Facebook pages, and start to disseminate this information. And whether you choose to vote for me or not, all I ask is that every person, before they go and vote, that they take some time and look at every candidate, not just the judicial races, but all the races, and become familiar with who they're voting for. It's hard to, when you become a judge, or it's hard when you become governor or attorney general or the state treasurer, to leave everything that you've brought in your life in a bag at the door. You don't do that. It comes in with you. And so they often say...
Specifically, I noticed with the judges, I started this thing 3 years ago when I said, well, I'd like to bring some candidates for judges and the ones that have been appointed by the governor. That way the public gets to know. Most of the questions I get is like, well, ask him this, and their policy, we can't do that. And I don't normally do that. And even when I meet judges on the trail, on campaign trail, we don't go up and ask them about what they think about this or that. We just kind of get to know them as far as their personality and things like that. So it puts, I think, an individual in a pretty awkward position there when you guys are on. So this is why we're talking about, should we change the way judges are elected, you know? And I think when that came up, I think I wasn't sure how you were going to answer that, but
right.
Yeah.
It may always seem awkward, but it's actually, you take it in step. And what I encourage each person that I visit with, after I give them a polite recitation about the canons about running, is to go look at the judicial candidates, see what they've done in their life, see who they've represented, see where they come from. I think it's going to give people a good idea of the judicial philosophy. I've worked at different places. We obviously didn't have too much money to go to college, but I think I'm a good example of, when you put your mind to it, when you get an education. And your son and daughter talked to me a little bit before we started today, and they said, what do you think is the key difference in the world? What would make the biggest difference? And I think that difference starts with educating our children.
correct.
My wife's a school teacher, and I always joke with her, if you can't fix them, then I get them. And part of my practice includes a criminal defense practice.
Which is true, very true. I mean, I know when I'm listening to that, it's very accurate. Yeah.
And I truly believe when we get the opportunity to teach children the importance of education, I think that is the single most important factor that's going to change the world. And you see that in the families, people who are very involved in educating their children. They may not always have the means to give them everything they need, but they encourage, they take them to the libraries, they buy them books, they sit there with them and do their homework, they do their math. And you see those kids in one part of the classroom, then you see the other kids that don't get that kind of attention. And at the end of the year, and at the end as we get closer to high school, you start to see divergent paths. And some of these children who don't get that education, don't get that support, seem to go down the wrong path.
Do you think the sitting judges, the ones that are on the bench, do you think they should have a program where they go out to schools and so? I don't mean like colleges. I mean, I'm talking about like high school and below, and then just kind of start from there. And because there's always a perception that this is a judge, you got to stay away from them. You got to be very respectful, and which is true. I mean, you have to give the respect there. But then there's always that fear element there, I think, which is what most people deal with when they see someone running for judge. So automatically they're intimidated. You think they should go out there and do something to that effect as far as talking to students and doing some mentoring and things like that?
I'm going to answer that in two parts. First, I'm going to encourage everybody not to be fearful of a judge. Just because we've had the opportunity and privilege to be elected judge doesn't change us. We're still people. We still get dressed the same way. We still shower the same way. When we become judges, we're entrusted with an incredible power. And along with that power comes incredible responsibility. And so that goes to the part of the question you're asking. Do judges have a responsibility to the community to try and educate the community? I believe so. How we channel that and how we do that, that's yet to be that remains to be seen politely. How you do it, you see it, you've seen great examples of, for example, the Gene Franchini mock trial program has been a substantial success. We bring students and we practice and we teach children that one of the possible alternatives or options for them in their life is to go into the legal profession. That's been a great success in New Mexico, and that involves bringing lawyers, judges, paralegals, other volunteers together to run these programs to give children, students, not only children, these are kids that are in high school in that program, the opportunity to look beyond and to say, I can do this. Anything is possible. You look at somebody like me, I'm not the normal stereotypical person you'd have running for judge. You know, people look at me and, you know, they see me at the gym, they're not going to guess that I practice law. But I hope, and the feeling after somebody's seen me practice or do a trial in court, at the end they come out, whether I was for them or against them, that they would, in the end, respect me and the fact that I was representing my client and that I was doing the job to the best of my ability. And that's what I want to do as a judge. I think that's what we need to do, is we need to bring that same commitment that we bring in our practice, our commitment to the practice, our commitment to our family, our commitment to everything, and just personify that. So it's so exciting.
The thing that popped into my head one time, I was talking, I think, to Samuel Winder. He was here as the first Native American judge there a few years back. He was one of my first guests as a sitting judge when he was appointed.
And he's running again, by the way.
Yes, he is. And he might come on my show. The question I think I had asked him, and I might even have asked David Standridge, was if you were to talk to kids, especially in school, and just kind of talk to them about what it's like to be in the legal field and things like that. Because a lot of them don't have any clue as far as what the legal field is. And talk to them about the Constitution. I think this is what I just recalled. Talk to them, teach them about the Constitution. And once they learn about the Constitution, they realize, oh, okay, so this is our core of what the nation is. Would you agree with me on that?
I would.
Teaching the Constitution.
But even before talking to them about the law, I would talk to them about the importance of getting an education and what it's done for me, and that anything is possible. Because it truly is, whether they want to be a lawyer or a doctor or a show host, they can do anything.
I think so.
Sky's the limit.
I think so, and I think it's a lot of it. It's information out there. There's many ways to get that information. This is one way of doing it anyways. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm almost out of time here. I got to go.
Thank you so much for
having me.
Thank you,
Mr.
Thank you,
Chacon.
Jamai.
Thank you, and good luck with your campaign.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're out of time. Thank you.